So you got your first dirt bike and you want to go check out what the racetrack is like, but you're not sure what to bring. I put together a list of the top 9 things that I've been taking to the racetrack with me for the last 20 years. These are things that I can't go there without and I always have with me. Hope it helps. Unless you plan it being a really short ride day, which is possible, you're probably going to need a gas can. Most dirt bikes can run for 2 hours or so bringing a gas can is useful. Everybody knows these types of gas cans, the ones you can get at hardware stores, you can get box stores. It's a 5-gallon red can. Now, this type of nozzle is no longer made. The EPA has shut it down, so I have an old school one. I've had this one for about 20 years, but this is not the can I usually take with me. At 5 gallons, it tends to be a bit big and heavy, and it's hard to fill. So I came across the Risk Racing 3-gallon. This thing is awesome. It has these mounting points that you can put into your truck or your trailer. You don't have to worry about tying it down, but the size is what's most convenient. Love these gas cans, but always remember to bring gas and bring what gas is right for your bike. There have been times I've been at the track where I don't need to fill up my bike because I haven't ridden that much, but somebody that I'm with or somebody who's nearby goes, "Hey, I ran out of gas. Can you help?" I will obviously give people gas if they need gas. Last time I was out at Spokes, there was a guy that came up to me and he's like, "Hey, I'm here and I don't have any gas and my son ran out of gas way back on the trails. Do you have a small gas can?" The 3-gallon can was perfect. He threw it in his lap and just rode off in the trails and helped his son get back to the truck. If you're brand new to dirt bikes, you may not know this, but your tire pressure is really important based on the terrain that you're riding on. So if you're going to a track that you haven't been to in a while, make sure you bring an air pump. A bicycle pump works perfectly fine. I've just got this basic pump. One that has a gauge on it is useful, so you can see what type of pressure you're running in your tires. If it's a softer track, you want to lower your pressures. If you're running trails, you want to make sure that you're not going to pinch a tube. So bringing an air pump is crucial to making sure that you don't pop a tire when you're out at the track or at the trails. So grab a pump. If your bike pump doesn't have a gauge, make sure you bring a tire gauge with you. Make sure that you have one that has small PSI ratings. This one goes from 0 to 20. On a dirt bike tire, you don't really want to have anything higher than 20 PSI anyway, so if you get one from a car, that goes up to 50 PSI. This is just more finite and better for tuning to make sure you know what PSI you're running to keep those tires safe. You'll note that the handle of my bike pump is broken. It's missing half the handle. That happened about 6 years ago. Haven't replaced it because it still works perfectly fine. I'm definitely riding on a budget, so use what works best for you. One that might seem pretty easy to remember, but something that I have forgotten myself quite a few times, even in the last year, is a place to sit. When you are coming off the track on a bike, you really just want to sit down sometimes. You want to rest your feet. You can't just stand there. If you have a truck, you could always sit on the tailgate, but highly recommend bringing a chair. Don't forget to bring a chair. If you're like me, I like having a chair that has a side table and some pockets to it. Cup holders are important, but this is a very useful chair. So my wife made fun of me enough times for forgetting my chair that she got me one of these little mini chairs. I can throw it into my truck and not have to worry about forgetting a chair. That way when I'm at the track, I always have a place to sit. I do tend to bring extra chairs too, because you never know who you're gonna meet at the track. So always more fun with more people. If you're doing proper maintenance on your bike, you shouldn't have any mechanical issues when you're at the track, hopefully. But things do go wrong. Bolts can fall out. Things can happen in a crash. So I always like to bring a tool bag with me to the track. Within the tool bag, I have a basic mechanics tool set. I actually got it from Lowe's. I think it's a 150-piece set. Harbor Freight has decent cheap tools too, but having the essentials would be things like sockets and ratchets, box wrenches or open wrenches, crescent wrenches, that kind of thing. Screwdrivers are important. Zip ties, always have zip ties with you. Duct tape fixes everything. So very, very useful stuff. I do also bring, and this is an odd thing, but I bring a hammer with me, just a rubber mallet. I use that to help change the rear suspension settings. There's a lock nut and you have to use a hammer to get to that. So I do bring a rubber mallet with me. I carry this bolt set with me every time I go to the track because you never know what's going to fall off. It could be off my bike, it could be off a friend's bike, but you don't want to have anything falling off your bike, so I carry this metric bolt set with me every time I ride, just in case. If you're interested in knowing specifically what tools to bring, let me know. I can put together a video of things that I've been bringing with me to the track. I have a bunch of tools that I keep here and a bunch of tools I take with me, so if you're curious, let me know and I'll put together a video on just that. Riding a dirt bike's a lot of work. It will take a lot out of you. You do need to stay hydrated and with energy, so bring snacks. Always bring water, always bring something that has electrolytes to it, whether it be Gatorade or a liquid IV, something like that to help you stay hydrated. Snacks are crucial when riding. I like to bring things like granola bars. Rice Krispie treats are my good go-to because it has carbs and sugars, things that help give you energy but also keep you full. So those are good things to bring with you. Not all tracks have concessions. So bring some snacks with you, stop at the gas station on the way when you fill up your gas can, get some things to snack on. Something I've seen some debate on whether or not you should bring with you to the track and do regular maintenance while riding is chain lube. I like to bring chain lube because I ride in a lot of sand. The chain lube helps to keep the chains from getting too dry and having the sand act like sandpaper and just degrade the metal and the potentially O-rings if you have O-rings in them. So I like to bring chain lube. It's one of those things that's just good to have. Between motos, spray up your chain, keep it lubricated, keep it safe. That way nothing's gonna go wrong. Like I said before, riding a dirt bike on a track is hard. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of strength to do. One of the things that I hated most when coming off the track was having to pick the bike up and put it onto a bucket. I'm old enough that I actually used a bucket as a stand. Putting a bike up onto a stand after riding is really hard to do. I have a friend who went and spent a lot of money on a special stand that you can ride on and it lifts the bike up. He said that by doing that, it actually gave him an extra 2 motos of ride time because he didn't have to put the strain and stress on his back. I like the stands that you can just lift up. You put your foot on and it just lifts up the bike, puts it on the stand nice and easy. It takes a lot less stress that way and it's easier on your body. That way you can recuperate faster. I mean, if you want to, there are plenty of people who are totally fine with just using the basic triangle stands. These triangles go into the rear axle. You can lean the bike over like a kickstand. Works perfectly fine, but something to hold the bike up off the ground, that means that you don't have to pick it up. Definitely recommend. Having a stand like this also makes it super convenient for cleaning because you can get the wheels off the ground and you can rotate it. You can clean the chain, clean the tires, just keeping everything nice and shiny. One of the things that I like to cover in my track reviews is how the track accepts payment. Not all tracks can take a credit card, or if they do, they might charge you more for it just because they have to pay processing fees. So I always recommend bringing cash. If you have cash on hand, that way you can pay. Sometimes they offer a discount, but if there's concessions, if there's people as vendors that are selling stuff, that way you have cash readily accessible to buy whatever you might need. Or let's say you have an issue with a bike part, or you need to get some gas from somebody who's there on site as just another patron. If you say, hey, I've got $5, can I get a gallon of gas off of you? They're probably not gonna say no. So having cash to do that kind of thing is very helpful. One of the worst feelings is getting to the track, you're all ready to go, and you realize you forgot some gear. You might have forgotten your socks, you might have forgotten your boots, you might have forgotten your gloves. The worst thing that's happened to me, I got to the racetrack once and all my gear was on, I'm getting ready to go on the bike, and I go to put my helmet on, and I had taken the liner out to wash it the day before and didn't put the liner back in. So I couldn't wear my helmet. It wasn't safe to wear because it was just too big. Always, always, always bring your gear. Don't forget your gear. Make a checklist, put that on the list twice. Bring your gear, bring all your gear all the time. That way you can actually ride and you can ride safely. Hopefully this list helped you guys out. Bonus one for you, beyond the 9, a canopy. Bring shade, like a pop-up canopy is super helpful. Depending on where you live and depending on where you're riding, it may not be necessary, so I wouldn't include it in the main things to bring. But having a pop-up tent can make your day so much better just by giving you some shade. So add that to your list too. If you're in a place that has heat and sun, stay safe.